Abdominal pain is one of the most common complaints, and the reasons can actually be many and they are all very different. In some cases it hurts and goes and really no big deal, you cannot pay attention, but in some other cases abdominal pain is a very alarming symptom that cannot be ignored. The fact is that most of us have a very simplified understanding. Stomach pain, well, it means there is something wrong, but all the fact is that the stomach is not just some general place. No, there are a lot of different organs and tissues, is in stomach, liver, pancreas, intestines, gallbladder, as well as kidneys and genitourinary organs. And each of these organs hurts in its own way, has its own symptoms and its own possible consequences, so of course we cannot lump it all into one pit. So what do we need to know about abdominal pain to avoid trouble, how this pain can be different and what different types of pain can tell us and what we need to know? We'll go into detail in this video. So watch it to the end, it will be very informative and interesting. Here we go. It is necessary to answer how exactly our stomach hurts, because the pain sensations can be very diverse. First, the pain can be acute and stabbing, that is, it occurs suddenly and quite intensely. Another type, it is chronic, that is pain that bothers for some time, then it may pass, then may come back again. Also, pain can be nagging, as if a feeling of heaviness. It can be cutting, that is with acute attacks. It may also be tonic, that is, uncontrolled contraction of the muscles, cramps. As we can see, there are 5 types of pain, which indicate completely different problems, and there are also related symptoms. For example, in addition to pain, a person may have nausea, flatulence, stool disorders, problems with urination, there may be a rise in temperature, and so on. Where exactly it hurts, here a rough guideline would be the following. If we have pain in the upper abdomen, it most often indicates problems gastrointestinal tract. If we have pain in the left side of the abdomen, it usually indicates a problem with the spleen or pancreas. If we have pain in the right side of the abdomen, it indicates the gallbladder or liver. And if we have pain in the lower abdomen, it probably points to the urogenital system or the intestines. There is also a general feeling as if the whole abdomen hurts. I can't tell left or right or above or below. This can often point to increased gas in the intestines, because the whole intestine is full of gas. The intestines are quite long organs, so it's all this gas. And therefore in general we cannot say exactly where it hurts, because it hurts the whole intestine. Again, it is necessary to make a very important caveat is all approximately indicative information, which is not 100% accurate, because we are all individual. Some people, even appendicitis can be a recoil in the back. The exception is very different, diverse, and the exact conclusion can only make a specialist during an individual examination. Now let's talk more about all of our organs that can cause pain. So the stomach, it can be gastritis, ulcer, or GERD, i.e. reflux disease. This is a characteristic heartburn that occurs due to the flood of stomach contents into the esophagus. In fact, here we will have not so much stomach pain as the esophagus itself, that is the upper abdomen, and it indicates poor diet, also possible infection, injury, or other factors. Then of course these questions must be answered by a gastroenterologist. If we have pain in the intestines, then there are also possible options, or we just ate too much cabbage and beans and got solid gas that is generally harmless, because over time it passes and does not leave any consequences. But there can be more serious things, ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease and inflammatory bowel syndrome and so on. Again, for a consultation is necessary to consult a gastroenterologist. Also, sometimes people have hernias. They occur because of exorbitant physical exertion, not because of the normal adequate exercise, but because of exorbitant short-term intense stress, such as a person is not trained in general and then he had to lift 20 kilograms bag and drag it. A sportsman with this would cope normally, but a person not trained because of such excessive stress can get a hernia. It should also be said about such a thing as appendicitis. It occurs about 1 in 10 of us. Of course, we all understand that this is a deadly disease that must be operated, and that run and miss it in any case cannot be. The symptoms can vary greatly from person to person and the rate of the course can also be very different, but the common characteristics are pulling pain around the navel area, which ends with a sharp pain in our stomach. Well, I think you know that in case of suspected appendicitis, of course need to call an ambulance. Also in some cases an myocardial infarction can start with intense pain in the upper abdomen. Of course, do not panic and wind yourself on the worst negative options. In general, in most cases we have a stomachache from what we have eaten, roughly the wrong thing, and if the symptoms quickly pass, thank God that everything dissolved. But there are certain signs that still need to go to the doctor. For example, if the symptoms last a long time and tend to get worse, if we have a fever, if we have a strong pain, especially when palpating the right side of the navel near the appendix, then there is a suspicion of appendicitis. If this pain is not characteristic, special, that is not what you felt before when you just eat something wrong, or if the pain has a chronic nature that is regularly returning. And finally, a number of recommendations that will help you not to have problems with the stomach. Of course, this does not ensure against all kinds of diseases, but against the most common, most popular, yes. First of all, it is not recommended to eat at night. The last meal should ideally be 3 to 4 hours before sleep, and the last meal should not be a heavy meal. It should not be a big fatty steak of red meat. The food must be non-fat, easily digestible, so that our intestines rest during sleep. Do not abuse fatty, fried, smoked, and highly salty foods. Do not abuse coffee. Of course, it is not necessary to refuse coffee completely, but abuse is undesirable for our stomach. What I mean by abuse is more than 2 cups of coffee a day. What are your thoughts or experiences? Share in the comments, would be interesting.